Hey guys, Camper15 back out with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another episode review, well, dual episode reviews of Sandland. It's been a while since I did an episode review of Sandland, and actually, completely, background stuff, what's its face. I've completely caught up with Sandland. So the current episode, well, not caught up, but in terms of the English dub, I'm caught up. So I think I'm on like episode 12 now. So yeah, my only regret is I like Sandland so much, I just binged it and now I'm caught up. So yes. Sandland. We're gonna be talking about episodes. So in my first episode review, I talked about the first three episodes. Here I'm gonna talk about episodes 4 and 5. I think I'm gonna do the dual episode formatting. And honestly, that's fine. So with the cliffhanger that we got left off on episode 3, it was basically General Ra going after Rao, Thief, and Beelzebub. So in episode 4, it is mostly just a tank battle. Literally just a tank strategy battle here. Which it was actually pretty good. I definitely enjoyed it. It shows you the prowess of Rao and his military combat. Obviously, RA wants to go up against Rao because that's basically, in a weird way, I guess you can say, kind of somewhat of his hero, because he looked up to him, also of course next to his dad. But obviously would always get these stories from his dad, like, okay, this is like one of the greatest like military generals we've ever had. So obviously he wants to test to see, okay, let's see how good he really is, let's see how smart he really is. And honestly, I like this tank battle because there was a lot of strategy in it, and basically too, Beelzebub is helping out just from the aspect, like, hey, this is where this tank is moving, this is what they're doing, and they're counteracting what they're doing. I think like one of the best moments, honestly, which was actually pretty freaking smart, was when they made the fake like dummy explosion. The shrapnel ended up creating like more targets on the scanners for RA, and basically because of it, they're just shooting around hoping to hit something, thinking that, oh, it is the tank. But that was actually a smart thing to do right then and there. And eventually they defeat and win. And the one interesting thing too is they make the mention, like, okay, and even when I was first watching the episode, I'm like, are they gonna kill these guys? And no, we have it to where Rao, he actually is like, no, I'm not gonna kill these guys, because Steve actually makes a mention. He's like, wait, are we not gonna kill these guys? And Rao's like, no, if you guys don't kill humans, well, or if demons don't kill humans unless provoked, I'm guessing, I'm not going to do the same thing. Plus, why would he actually do this? Why would he actually kill somebody when actually he's trying to do something peaceful? So anyways, they end up cornering RA and his tank, and end up like basically smashing into him. The thing with RA's tank is he kind of has like one of those, I forgot what type of like guns, but he has like a clear, like, it's got like the muzzle is clearly like one of those high range or high caliber, bullet like, muzzles that they got. And the thing is, since it has the muzzle edges, he can't fully like turn, unlike how strictly with our tank, it's just right then and there. So they basically are lost. RA is like, well, this is what my dad told me about. I guess this is really General Shiva at his finest. So they end up like walking out, and they end up surrendering. And basically, what happens is you kind of get a discussion between Shiva or Rao and RA. And basically RA's asking him questions like, hey, I heard you're doing, is the broadcast true? Like, are you actually going out there trying to look for the spring? And Rao's like, yeah, I am trying to look for the spring. I mean no harm, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to look for the spring because it's hard to pay these fees, because the king puts a lot of dang fees, or a high enough fee to where it's hard to get water and everything. He ends up telling Thief and everything. And they're all shocked, like, wait, this dude's working for demons and everything. And And also too, in the mind, he also brings up the fact, like, also there's something you guys need to know about the king as well, about the fact that the Peachy tribe, that whole Peachy wipeout tribe, the king ordered that hit, and here's Thief to say to back up my claim. Now at first RA and the other army men right then and there, they're kind of like, why would we trust a detestable, lying or believe a lying demon, essentially? Beelzebub ends up getting pissed. He jumps down and he's like, oh, you think we're freaking that bad? Please. Like, we don't do anything, if any, like, we don't do anything. Like, if anything, we're just trying to live our lives peacefully. And even Rao is like, see, trust and believe. I trust these guys more than anything, which, and honestly goes to show you, even though it's been 4 episodes, I understand, it feels short, but I would bet you over the time they were traveling, a lot of time passed by off screen, so they definitely clearly connected. And it's also one of those good moments where you see how, okay, Rao is truly fully putting his trust in Beelzebub and Thief to get him, because honestly, and I'll talk about it in the 5th episode to an extent, but without Beelzebub and Thief, well, he would have not gotten this far alone, essentially. But you get my point. You see the trust between all three of them, and you clearly see, okay, they got a bond, they all trust each other, they all believe each other. And even Round's like, look, it was hard for me to believe about this thing, about the story about the PG and what happened and everything. But listen, eventually when I added up all the facts together, I see no lies in the argument. So they end up going on to say like the king or the hit, essentially. I keep forgetting the one guy. Hold on. Let me see the one guy. Zeu. Basically, he tells Arya, like, Commander Zeu and the king ordered the hit on the Peachy tribe, and even ordered the hit on my platoon, which ended up getting your father killed, essentially. So that's kind of thing. Now we see the bumbling dudes that ended up ratting out Rao to the army, and they are called the swimmers. Basically that's what they are called, and they're trying to find a place to swim. They end up shooting a cannonball to try to, like, I guess, take everybody out in one hit, but Beelzebub, with his good hearing, picks that up. He ends up blocking and saving everybody. He ends up going after the swimmers, taking them one down one by one, and the father of the swimmers is like, is it true that you're trying to find a spring? And if you do, like, we're just trying to swim and everything. And obviously, Beelzebub's like, good, all right, that's fine, just don't mess with me anymore. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. And after Beelzebub saves basically Ra and the others, basically Ra's like, all right, well then I guess I can trust you. That's when they explain everything that's happened and everything. So that's kind of the thing and basically that's what they're up to speed and everything. So that's kind of the stuff right then and there. We cut back over to Beelzebub, and after he takes on the last brother, or the last swimmer member, which they all kind of have like their own individual strengths. This one is like he's got like super speed, but Beelzebub also is pretty fast too, and he easily beats him. Now, there's this sandstorm that ends up popping up, and he ends up hiding in this area, then this rock, this mountainous like area in the desert area. Eventually you have it to where he ends up coming over something, and when Rao and Thief are moving along with their tank, what ends up happening is he ends up using telepathy to contact them. He's like, hey, I found something that you guys might want to see. He leads them over to where they're at, and they find the spring that they've been looking for. Now, when I was first watching this, I'm like, holy shit, we already found the damn spring, and it's only the 4th episode. Now, again, I was watching a little bit of Geekdom's live stream of Sandland. He ended up actually saying, like, Sandland is actually a kind of a it's a relatively like short story Toriyama ended up actually making, and I'm like, oh wow. And even when we get to episode 5, I'm like, I was even belittled and shocked, like, oh, we're already going up against freaking Zeu and everything. It just shows me, okay, this must have been like a short, nice little story, that Toriyama made. And I think Geekdom in his live stream said, like, I think Sandland as a whole is like only 1 volume long. Which is crazy. And when you look at it for a story like that, that's pretty short actually. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. Anyways, they find the spring, which leads into episode 5, and they're just like, wow, I can't believe it. After all this time, we found the spring. Now they end up hearing something in the bushes. They end up going over there, and they actually find surviving members of the Peachy tribe. So we find out that the Peachy tribe are actually not extinct. They are all still alive and well, and they're just hiding out in this, basically in the spring area. So that's pretty cool to find out that, okay, not all of them are wiped out. If any, maybe some of the surviving ones from the explosion ended up going somewhere else and just living in found the spring and just lived and continued to just be fine as dandy. Now, eventually they actually end up leaving the spring area because eventually they hear an airship, or Beelzebub hears an airship is coming. And the thing is, Rao is like, well, we need to get out of here because we cannot let the king find this spring, because if he does find the spring, they're just going to use it as another resource to take control of and contain water to themselves. On top of it, if they see the PG tribe there, they're going to eliminate them and probably force them to do something. So that was kind of the thing. Obviously, I love the moment where Rao kind of like pays his respects and kind of in a weird way apologizes for his past actions, saying like, I apologize for what I did in the past and everything. So in a weird way, he kind of gets his full circle moment now that he knows that the Peachy tribe is out there. You can see like clearly he's been through a lot over his time, and now to find the fact that he can finally in a weird way get his redemption or his apologies and express that, that's kind of the thing right then and there, which is good. And then 2, he also tells Beelzebub as they're leaving, like, hey, thief Beelzebub, can you please forget like that we ever saw this spring? Like, I think I just want to leave this spring alone to the Peachy people. If anything, they've been through enough pain and suffering, and they deserve to live in that spring area. So, hey, listen, let's just all forget about it. And Beelzebub's like, yeah, old man, I thought you were gonna say that. And then also 2, he also gives him the okay to call him Biels, which is his nickname or whatever. Now I don't know how they say what's his nickname. Maybe they still call him Biels in the sub version, but that's his nickname in the dub version. So, which is cool. And it's funny. You have a funny moment. He's like, Prince, is it okay if I call you Biels? And then Beelzebub is like, no, you're just gonna call me Prince. And he's like, I figured you would say that. It's funny. The banter between Beelzebub and Thief, it's good. Now going back to General RA, even cutting back to the time when, because at that point they were cutting back and forth between what Beelzebub's crew is doing. And we have it to where RA, after hearing all this information from obviously Rao and Thief, he ends up calling the king to say like, hey, and the king's over here eating, and he's like, why are you calling me at this time? Your snobby king business type of thing going on right then and there. And essentially, you have it to where RA like, hey, is it true about what Shiva said about you ordering a hit on the Peachy people and everything? And the king's like, why would you ask me at something at a time like this and everything? I'm trying to eat and everything. And he's basically just telling him like, did you even capture him? And obviously Ari's like, no. Now it was interesting that he literally just flat out said no. I would think like, okay, if you already have distrust, you can just say like, yes, I got him, we're bringing him in for questioning essentially. So that's kind of the thing. Now after a while, we do come back to the king, and the king ends up basically going up to Zeu saying like, hey, what's going on here? Commander or General R.A. Cole told me about the freaking plan that we had hatched up and everything, and saying that you were the one that ordered it and I approved it. And Zeu's like, bro, why would he do something like that? And obviously, or no, actually, no, the king said, why would he do something like this? And Zeu's like, he's starting to become a nuisance now that everything's getting involved, huh? And Zeu's you really truly start to hate Zeu in like not on really this episode, and then even the further episodes with what I've watched. You truly see how much like, okay, this guy, there's anybody that needs to die, he needs to be the one that dies in this series, because my goodness, this dude is an absolute a-hole. Um, so essentially, what happens, like, listen, we can't let this get out, because if this gets out, well, then obviously our reputation's gonna be tarnished. So essentially, Zeu tells the king, like, look, we'll handle it, blah 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 blah. Don't worry about anything. So and then Zeu ends up telling one of like the armormen, he's like, listen, when Ra gets back, you're arresting him on the spot. And then he's like, wait, we're arresting him? And he's like, yes, we're arresting him, because it's gonna be like treason or something like that. Which, common speaking of, Ra actually kind of does treason, essentially giving away where the king's fortress is located at. He basically, since all the tanks are connected through radio, he basically gives away to Rao, Beelzebub, and Thief about the location of the king's fortress, and basically it's in the south area. So essentially, because of it, he knows that they're doing treason. He knows, like, I'm gonna turn myself in, but I have to make sure I let freaking General Rao or Shiva, get to where he needs to get to and expose this plot line. So eventually, you have it to where our group gets to the king's fortress area, basically his kingdom. And Rao was kind of shocked because, one, we have it to where Beelzebub scouts, and he actually goes to the top. There's this dam right there, and then Beelzebub looks over the dam, and there is literally water, a bunch of water, like, honest to God, it's like an ocean, really. And basically this shocks Rao, because he's like, wait, then that means this was all a lie about the king telling us everything about Sandland being in a drought, essentially. It's not that they were in a drought, it's just the king made this dam to contain all this freaking water, and clearly that dam is like blocking like a waterfall in a weird way that puts water into Sandland from this area. And the thing is, above the dam, along with all this water, we see like this forest area. So you have to wonder, like, okay, there's more lush areas even going farther, but it's crazy to see, like, okay, the king was like, all right, how can we contain all this water? Let's build a freaking dam and shut off any elements of water. So they clearly built this dam. It cut off and dried up any of the water, or maybe they just used up any of the water that was left over, took it from the river stream, and then they made the dam to block everything up. And that's basically a good way to basically be like, well, we have all this water. We not only can use this water for ourselves, but we can also get water, and make it to where, okay, now it's a monopoly where we can start making people buy for this water and pay for this water. Again, it's a dirty scheme if you ask me. Like, it's pretty despicable. Like, you're in a literal desert land. You're a king of this desert land, and you're like, yeah, let's block everybody's access of getting fucking water. Like, that's effed up as a king. Like, that's crazy. Now, what happens is Zeu ends up popping up, and he's like, well, if it isn't General Shiva. And they're also shocked too that, basically Zeu turned himself into an android, essentially. And the thing is, he calls upon like this gigantic air fortress. And also too, I forgot to mention, going back to dam, Beelzebub makes the points like, so that's why like airships are not like approved by the government to fly, because if an airship flies and they're flying near the king's area or the king's fortress or his castle, well, they'll see, wait, there's a dam, there's a bunch of water, and if this dam breaks, then water will flow into Sandland. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. And basically the thing, and finishing up the episode review, what happens is we have it to where Zeu shows up this gigantic like air battle fortress, something that looks like something like Sonic the Hedgehog, something like Eggman would come up with. Like the egg cauldron. It looked literally like the egg cauldron from Sonic Unleashed. And essentially he drops down these bug people, these cricket looking grasshopper people and stuff like that. So um that's kind of the thing right then and there. And basically Beelzebub's like, see, look, I'm here. He ends up punching this dude, this grasshopper thing punches them like crazy, and basically they have to retreat. And that's basically where the episode ends, and we're left off a cliffhanger with this battle where Rao, Thief, and Beelzebub have to take down this airship. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's going on there and stuff like that. But again, Sandland is really damn good. I'm really enjoying it, even going farther on ahead, which I can't wait to talk about more and stuff like that. But anyways, catch you guys next video. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day, night, or when sharing this video. Peace.